Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it!
What's happening, everyone? Today we're here to talk about the brand new Marvel film,
Thunderbolts!
And I'm gonna be perfectly honest, this video has been really difficult for me to make because Thunderbolts means a lot more to me than just being another good Marvel film. It feels to me like this movie is a pushback against something that I personally hated about the superhero genre in a very long time, as well as the fact that I believe Thunderbolts is actually what Marvel's been missing in their films for a while now. So hopefully we can get through this, I can share with you how I feel about this, and you guys will enjoy. So kick back, relax, because now we're about to get into... From the moment Thunderbolts started, I knew this movie was going to be completely different. The idea that this film starts off with Yelena having an inner monologue about her basically wanting to Hannah Baker herself every now and again was absolutely jarring. It had me sitting in the theater like,
Who the starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
But in a good way. Because it let me know that this movie knows to focus on the characters, which is something I feel like we've been missing in a lot of Marvel movies recently. They try to focus on being the big, crazy superhero movie, pulling plot lines from comics and things, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it does cause a lack of regard in the characters themselves and them not feeling emotionally connected to the audience anymore like they used to be. If you look at Phase 1 of Marvel, all of the opening movies in there between Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, all of them have an emotional theme and core and artistic style to get you initiated into those characters and make you feel personally invested. And Thunderbolts does exactly that, because this isn't really like a crazy superhero movie where anything absurd really happens. This is a small scale film where it's like, okay, we're going to tell a story about a group of superheroes that are all miserable and depressed and hate their lives. That's what this movie is about. And we see how they deal with this and have a trauma bonding therapy session throughout the course of the film as they bond and form the Thunderbolts. And I feel like this is what Marvel needs to be focusing on in the future. They need to remember that the reason superheroes work so well is because they're normal people behind the powers. Why people love superheroes is seeing normal people with these extraordinary abilities deal with their issues as well as dealing with crazy superhero nonsense. One of my favorite superheroes in the modern era is Radiant Black. That story starts off with a dude struggling to get a loan to pay off his debt, but then also he's got like gravity manipulating abilities and fights supervillain. It's a crazy story, but it knows to start off with the emotional core, and that's what Thunderbolts is really doing. The idea that we are given depth on characters like John Walker, who I personally think was dealt a bad hand with the poor writing of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show, they've really given him a lot more in this. Us seeing what happened to him after the events of that show, seeing that he became very neglectful, very out of himself because he couldn't deal with the fact that everyone in the world basically hated him. That concluded in his wife taking their child and divorcing him and leaving, and now he's just alone, just delving into work as US agent. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Well, I mean, not for him. His life is miserable and terrible, but I mean, it makes a good movie for me.
What's wrong with you?
And I really enjoy seeing Yelena. I know I'm not the only person who feels this way, and this is nothing against Scarlett Johansson at all, but Florence Pugh's Yelena is significantly more of an interesting and well fleshed out character than her Black Widow ever was. Because even in her first movie, Black Widow, Yelena stole the show. Like, Yelena wasn't anything crazy, she just brought a lot of charisma to the film that made people really like her. And sure, that is 100% due to Florence Pugh's charisma in real life. The character didn't really have anything crazy or special to do in Black Widow or Hawkeye, but her charisma carried over into the character and it made you like her. And then when we roll over now into Thunderbolts, where she has an emotional character arc, you can really see how well she works and how much people actually love her character. Seeing her deal with the fact that she has no one left in the world, because we learn in this film that after the events of Black Widow and Avengers Endgame, she's got nobody. Red Guardian stopped talking to her for an entire year, Natasha is dead, and now she's just out here doing work for Valentina.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect madam. But us seeing her at this low point in her life just dealing with normal stuff that everyone has to deal with is just kind of insane to me, given the recent movies we've gotten in the MCU, like Thor Love and Thunder. What the fuck was the emotional core of Thor Love and Thunder? Like, that movie is just a mess. of nothingness. Like, I felt nothing watching that movie except pure and utter hatred. I'll talk about it more at a later date, but like, that movie just had nothing to offer. Same thing with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. These movies should have had an emotional core that made you interested in everything that was going on, but it didn't. You just felt nothingness. You felt the void itself taking over you, and that's not what you want to feel when watching these movies. Even some of the more recent films that actually do handle themselves well, like Shang-Chi, those movies are kind of butchered by the end because Shang-Chi is like a small-scale emotional story, and then at the end of the movie, he fights a giant fuck you dragon, and it's like, what? Why did we do this? Why did we do this? We had a perfect setup for a small-scale personal interaction and fight between Shang-Chi and the Mandarin, but then you said, okay, yeah, we're gonna have that, but then dragon as well. We didn't need the dragon. We didn't need the dragon. You could have put the dragon back in the bottle. We didn't need the dragon. That's why I'm happy Thunderbolts ends on a very small-scale way. Thunderbolts ends with the characters just hugging each other. If you haven't seen the movie and you're just watching this video because you want to hear my thoughts, thank you. But also, the movie ends with them embracing Bob, letting him know that he's not alone, that they're there in the void with him, and they're going to have his back so he doesn't have to give into it. Because Bob is losing control, beating the damn hell out of Void, turning into the Void himself, until the Thunderbolts embrace him, and I absolutely love that. It's not a crazy, massive superhero fight, it's just a small personal moment between a bunch of broken individuals truly becoming one and becoming a family and showing that they don't have to be alone in this world. And that is perfect. That's more of what Marvel needs. We need to know who these characters are behind the powers so we can connect to when they have to do power shit. Like, I would love to see a Marvel movie where the final battle of the film is just emotionally impactful because I care about the villain and the hero and their emotional arcs cause them to confront each other. We've seen it done before. Spider-Man Homecoming ends perfectly with the emotional arc of Vulture and Spider-Man conflicting with one another, resulting in their final confrontation at the end of the film.
Time to go home, Pete.
I'm trying to save you!
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT! That was great. We need more stuff like that. We need more stuff like Thunderbolts. Because without stuff like this, without stuff like Thunderbolts, that's where we get the stigma that I have hated so much that this movie is pushing back against. The stigma that superhero movies are nothing more than junk food media. That they're nothing more than slop that's just consumed and made because it's popular. That there's no emotional depth. That there's no artistic integrity in them. It's a thing that has been propagated by famous filmmakers and hyper-analytic critics, and I can't stand it because these are people that individuals listen to. They're people that people hold a very tight grip on their opinion, and when they say stupid shit like that, it really warps the public opinion of these pieces of media, because superhero media is just a genre that you can do anything with. From action to romance to horror, you can do anything with the superhero genre the same way you can do anything with like any other genre. But because of these comments, people now think like, oh, another Marvel movie is coming out. It's gonna be junk. It's gonna be slop. It's gonna be terrible. Why do I need to see this? Because it's just gonna be a cash grab so they can get my money. No. Okay, no, yeah, sure, there are bad Marvel movies. I 100% agree. I'm not denying that. But you don't hear anyone else saying that about different genres. You never hear someone go like, man, action movies? Every action movie is terrible and it's just a cash grab that nobody cares about. No, that's not the case. You wouldn't say that, so I don't understand why we're saying it here. And then whenever a superhero film breaks this stupid philosophy that they have, like Logan, that is just a phenomenal film that's emotionally depth, that has a lot of artistic style, then all of a sudden you get the line of, that I'm sure many of you have heard before, this isn't a superhero movie, it's an insert genre kind of movie, but it just happens to have a superpowered person in it. I hate that line so goddamn much because it's just a scapegoat line to tiptoe around the fact that, yeah, superhero movies can have depth, they can have emotion, that's why they work so well, that's why comics are so popular, they're some of the biggest medium in the world for a reason. And Thunderbolts 100% proves that. You can have a movie about depression, about the feeling of emptiness, about being miserable, about not wanting to live anymore, and tell an emotional story about finding a reason, finding a will to live in other people that know and share that same trauma with you. That is why this movie is so so important, and it's why Marvel needs to take note of this. We need more superhero movies that care more about the emotional core of their character. We need to see more of these Marvel movies have the depth and love that you gave to Thunderbolts. You don't understand how happy it made me to see that Thunderbolts didn't have to pull its punches. The idea that they could just kill characters whenever they felt like it. The idea that we can have a scene where we see Yelena's worst and tragic nightmares, where we see her feel grief-stricken and forced to watch her past, where she had her best friend executed as a child because she was told to as one of her missions. We get to see her being force-fed alcohol by a past version of herself that was drowning her sorrows. That was incredible. It's a very short and impactful sequence where Yelena just sees herself in her worst state, and then her doppelganger self just gets up and force feeds her the alcohol, and it causes a fight to break out. It's very short, and it just results in Yelena just like tackling herself through a wall, but still at the end of the day, it was so impactful, and it meant so much for me to see that, because I know there's a lot of people that have dealt with that. I want more of this, Marvel. I need more of this. And Bob, I could probably make an entire video just talking about Bob and his emotional core in the movie, about being a drug addict that then entered this science experiment, became Sentry, and how he's always wanted to be a hero, and that slowly developed the God complex when he had the power of Sentry, and how he gave up his autonomy to the Void. Like, there's so much I could talk about with his character because he's handled so well in the film. But I don't want you to think that Thunderbolts is just like a depresso espresso fest that really hampers down on character motivation and everything. No, the movie's still a fun film. It is written extremely well with the comedy. This probably has some of the funniest jokes that I've seen in a Marvel movie in I don't know how long, and I absolutely love that. I love the whole bit that Taskmaster just dies at the beginning of the movie because Ghost just hits her like,
"Nigga, did I just catch you on the B shit?"
Oh, sweet Jesus! Lord have mercy! My baby!
And to add insult to injury, it's like half a second before they all realize they were set up and don't need to kill each other. It works so well, especially because on the grand scheme of things, no one really likes Taskmaster. I mean, like, this specific version of Taskmaster, I think it's probably like the worst interpretation of the character that I've ever seen, but, you know, it is what it is. But the fact that they didn't have to hide that is great. The fact that they were able to represent the debate between people over John Walker killing that terrorist in The Falcon and Winter Soldier in the show, between Ghost and John Walker having that brief argument with each other, is so great. I love this movie on so many different levels, and it's exactly what I want more of from superhero media. I need Marvel to focus on this, and it looks like we're going in the right direction, because the creator of Shang-Chi is working on the new Spider-Man movie, which, like, again, I did complain about the dragon thing at the end, but, like, I don't really blame him for that. Like, that seems more like a studio decision than, like, he wrote the entire movie and was like, you know what would be really good? A dragon, you know, like that's the, I feel like that's not really the case here, but he's going to be working on the new Spider-Man movie, and I think that's going to be good. Fantastic Four seems like a small-scale personal film. It's literally taking place in its own universe away from the MCU, so we don't have to worry about any other characters or superheroes popping up in the film, and they can just deal with their own stuff. So I think that'll work really well, and it seems to focus on the family dynamic of the Fantastic Four, which they're called the first family for a reason. We should definitely focus on stuff like that. Now, obviously, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars is also coming out, and that could debunk everything that I'm saying, but I'm really hoping those movies are actually good and they do have an emotional core to them. I'm putting my faith in you, Marvel. Please don't disappoint me. But at the end of the day, Thunderbolts is a refreshing wake-up call for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we need more films like this. I really want them to continue with this, and I would actually love to see the Thunderbolts again, or I guess since I am going into spoilers, I should call them what they actually are called. Which I was wrong about. I did guess the ending of Thunderbolts months ago when I made a video talking about why I thought Thunderbolts was going to be a good movie and not anything like the Suicide Squad movie by David Ayer. I guessed the emotional ending with them empathizing with Bob to stop Void, but I was completely wrong about what the name was going to be. I was off by one word. One goddamn word really ruined that from just being perfectly clairvoyant, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I just want more good Marvel movies because I love superheroes. They're near and dear to my heart. I've loved them ever since I was a kid, and they've helped me get through some really dark times. So, that all being said, I'm the innocent villain, you're innocent until proven villainous, and I hope we all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in whatever I do next. Peace.